that we have in the business environment we have also starts from the bottom up. What do you recommend people do at a county level? Because we're seeing the same thing here. We're seeing politicians running the show, telling people that common sense citizens like you and I don't know what we're talking about,
right,
and we need their experience back in. How do we fix that, and how do we address it?
Well, first of all, you don't want anybody with experience in government, because that means they're losers, or they're cheats, they're liars, they're frauds, and they've experience in ripping you off. So the last thing you want is people who have experience. It's kind of like if I said to you, I have an experience running business and they've all failed. Would you want my experience? So, and that's why I laugh when critics of Trump say, oh, he's not so smart, he failed, and they name the 4 businesses he's failed at. Well, I got to tell you something. In business, it's government that makes it easy to fail. Government's the one that makes it so hard to run a business, so easy to fail. Regulations, taxes, Obamacare, climate change are making it hard for any of us to succeed. But a guy like Trump starts 1,000 businesses, 4 of them fail, 996 succeed, and he's worth $10 billion. They're calling him a failure because 4 of them didn't work. That's amazing. But in government, they have experience at stealing the taxpayers' money. When someone says to me, Donald Trump failed, and I go, well, you know what? Let's assume he did. I don't agree that he did. He's worth $10 billion. I don't think he failed too much. But let's assume he failed a few times. We know he did that. At least he failed with his own money. Yes. In government, they fail with our money. See, Barack Obama's failed 1,000 times. No one points that out in the media. He's failed with your money, my money. He's never used his own money, ever. So what kind of talent does it take to be a planning commissioner in Cowlitz County and steal the taxpayers' money and fail with it? The talent is using your own money, taking it out of a mattress or out of the bank account, out of your parents' inheritance, and putting it on the line and risking it and opening a restaurant. That's talent. That's courage. That's what we call in New York chutzpah, right? But to take other people's money that are forced by gunpoint by the IRS and the local tax authorities to pay a tax bill, and then you take their money and you spend it and you lose it, that's my definition of failure. And that's experience we don't need. So we need to elect people who are small business people, who have no experience in government, but who know how to balance a checkbook. That's what we need to elect.
Unfortunately, Wayne, we're out of time, but it's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Kevin.
I think we've learned a lot from your expertise, and really appreciate you doing what you're doing on a national level, because folks like yourself holding politicians and people accountable out there is exactly what we need.
Let me tell everyone out there how they can find me and reach me. I've got all my views are on video at root4america.com. Root, R-O-O-T, foramerica.com, because my name is Wayne Root, and that's what I do all day. I root for America, and I fight for America. And my latest book is The Power of Relentless, which you can get Amazon or any fine bookstore. Root for America and The Power of Relentless. And let's hope we can take this country back. The window's this small, but I never lose faith. I'm going to keep fighting till the last bullet and the last man and the last moment and my last voice. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you much. Kevin Hunter here on the Business Forum Show. My guest has been Wayne Allen Root. Thanks for joining us.
Good stuff.
Last man, last moment, and my last voice. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you much. Kevin Hunter here on the Business Forum Show. My guest has been Wayne Allen Root. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, and we are back. So I apparently need to move my battle voice back a bit, because I heard just a tiny bit of the show, and it was
pretty loud for you there.
Pretty loud. I'm not used to good mics and a professional studio, so that's an excellent thing. So one of the questions that I got from one of our listeners was, do you agree with what Wayne Allen Root said at the Lincoln Day dinner this past week about should conservatives vote for Trump?
You're asking me that question?
Yes.
Well, let me share with you something. I spent, beyond the presentation that Wayne gave at the Lincoln Day dinner, and it was fabulous. I also spent a good 45 minutes or more with him here in studio. And we had a lot of, in the interview that you're going to hear that gets broadcast tomorrow is 22 minutes long with myself and Wayne Allen Root, and we were talking about not only national things, but it connected a lot of them to some of our local issues. And the things that he had to share were absolutely amazing. And so, if you remember, both of you were there, right, on Saturday at the Lincoln Day?
No, I couldn't make it.
I was there just to grab that thing from you. But
okay. So you missed Wayne's speech. But in the end, he did some Q&A, and he asked people. He goes, somebody asked me, now that my speech is done, somebody asked me why I'm supporting Trump. And that's actually a conversation that we had here in studio. Now, remember something, that the backbone of American economy is small and medium-sized businesses. Would anybody disagree with that?
No.
Not at all. And
nobody in this room anyway.
Yeah, nobody in this room anyway. Yes, and actually, anybody who knows anything about that whole arena wouldn't disagree with you. That it's the backbone of the American economy. And so anyway, you have to remember that Wayne has been through the cycle from when he grew up in business to where he's at today, and been through that cycle repeatedly. And the things that he shared with me in terms of Trump's connection to the business community, and he goes, Trump is not a political guy. He said he couldn't care what happens with between the parties and the arguments between the parties. Trump will run the country like a business, and he goes, do you think that's a bad thing for this country?
No,
I don't at all. Now, do I agree with Trump on various social issues that he has out there? No, but do I agree with him on his stances on business, and do I believe Trump can lead this country to turn around from what we've seen in the last 8 years? The answer is 100% yes, and I'd support Trump for that reason.
So you support Donald Trump for president?
Absolutely.
So
how do you feel about that, Curtis?
Well, I don't like Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know you don't like Donald Trump, so I'm kind of curious on his outlook. What do you think about that?
Well, you can support Donald Trump for whatever reason you want. I'm going.
I didn't say I was going to support him. I just share things that are funny. Like he's already creating jobs. People are paid to protest him. I mean, that was a perfect meme. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So, I realize I'm a libertarian, and we live in Washington State. Now, in Washington State, we have Seattle. The Seattle area basically chooses where our electoral college
Puget Sound. Let's just
and
throw
so,
that Puget
since
Sound.
Washington is basically a blue state, it's been a blue state forever. If you're voting for a Republican in Washington, and the Republican aligns with your ideals, then that's great. Vote Republican. But you got to realize that it's a winner-take-all state, and our electoral college votes are going to be going to the Democrats because that's just how it works in Washington. Now, the Libertarian Party of Washington State can become a major political party if our candidate gets 5% of the vote. Now, for real conservatives and real liberty-minded people, the Libertarian Party candidates, either Gary Johnson or the person that I'm hopefully going to be marking down in the box, Austin Peterson, are the only liberty candidates out there, the only real conservatives out there. And if as Ron Paul said earlier this week, if you're not wasting your vote, you're not throwing a vote away. If you're voting for somebody who you want to be, you shouldn't have to make the choice between good and evil, the lesser of two evils, because you're still voting for evil. And so, if the Libertarian Party of Washington State's candidate, which would be most likely either Gary Johnson or Austin Peterson, gets 5% of the vote this year, then we get major party status. So that would actually benefit liberty, as opposed to, you can hate Hillary all you want. Nobody likes Hillary in this room, but our electoral college votes are going to Hillary. And if we, as the Libertarian Party of Washington State, end up with 5% of the vote, it'll give us a seat at the table. And so that would be an excellent thing.
Bill has something to say.
Bill has a question.
I don't know about that. I don't know if those votes are going to go to Hillary. This state, all the voters up in Seattle and the Pierce area
Yeah.
Hillary didn't win the state, right? So I don't think that Hillary, is necessarily going to win. I think a lot of those supporters that voted for Bernie are going to stay home if Hillary, ends up being the nominee, if she's not indicted by the FBI first.
I have a lot of liberal friends up north, and they would rather burn it down than to see Hillary Clinton president.
On a national level, the Libertarian Party has seen overnight double the
right. I read that article. The search online has
rogues since Ted Cruz. I saw this message by Austin Peterson because he's got an extremely hardcore grassroots campaign. I could call him right now, but I know he's busy. But he will take your calls if you send him a message and ask him. As soon as Ted Cruz dropped out of the race, about 3-4 hours later, they put out this message like, please stop sending those messages unless it's vital to the campaign or vitally important, because we have about 10,000 inbox messages. So,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's an excellent thing. So,
going back to your point, though, of people voting what their heart is and voting what they think is the right candidate for them. And this, voting for the lesser of two. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that people should vote for whomever they think is the best possible candidate for the election, and let things fall where they may. I think people have to do that. And when talking about libertarian candidates, I'm not in alignment with any specific party that's out there. When I say I'm independent, I don't define myself as. I see actually good qualities from members of all the different parties that I've seen that are out there. But here's a really valid point that several of those close to me have made, that if there's good candidates in the Libertarian Party, and if people in the Libertarian Party say, well, I don't want to vote for them because then if I do, then I've so-called wasted my vote, and I haven't defeated, this bad person, which, people who would be considering voting for Libertarian, for sure they wouldn't vote for Hillary. So they say, well, I'll vote for Trump instead. And to which you say that if we're ever going to fix what's wrong with this country, and I think everybody knows what's wrong with this country, is we have a two-party system. And the two-party system doesn't represent Americans very well at all. And if people don't stand up and start to do something differently, well, then no traction ever will be made. And I think about people who run for office in a given community, and maybe the first time they run, they get 20% of the vote. And the second time they run, maybe they get 30% of the vote. You're not going to crack through that unless you're persistent and keep going after it. So if somebody believes in the cause of libertarian, then they should vote for their libertarian candidates. It's America.
Yeah.
You should feel free to vote for whomever you want, and don't allow people to tell you that that's wrong, and therefore you should be doing whatever.
So, last thing before we get done with this segment of the show, we want to talk about Stone Soup really quickly. Stone Soup
That's not really a quick subject.
It's going to be a really quick subject. We've got about 3 minutes. So, Stone Soup is a community potluck that is thrown in various places around Longview, Kelso.
Yeah, we recently moved to, and Patrick is supposed to come on the show sometime, but recently, and talk to you about this, but we recently moved to the county courtyard to try to, it wasn't working out at the Salvation Army, so we decided to go to the county courtyard and show the commissioners that the people of our area are hungry.
Yes, now, taking into consideration that Love Overwhelming is right next door to the county county admin building where Stone Soup has been having this potluck lately. And now the county health department, a lot of people from the shelter, has reached out to Stone Soup and made the claim that
somebody got sick.
That somebody got sick, and for whatever reason they feel
one person, but they didn't.
Again, there's no way to really prove that.
Right.
But
I mean, we all ate the same food, and nobody else got sick.
The county health department believes that they have authority over Stone Soup, which is a potluck.
Right.
Now, they sent you a copy of the RC, or you looked up the RCW.
No, I called them this morning. I called the health department and said, hey, what's the RCW on potlucks? And he says, you can't be a commercial, business. It can't be anything commercial. And then he emailed me the RCW that had 5 points on there that makes you a potluck.
Now, the thing that's important to point out, they met all the criteria has met.
We've met every single criteria.
The main word in there that he's pointing to, he's trying to say that everybody has to bring a meal to a potluck, which isn't true. If you go to any potluck at a church, not everybody is bringing a meal.
But he also hit me up with a WAC code that says that we aren't compliant. But it doesn't apply to the potluck.
Now listen, the WAC code says everybody is expected to bring a meal. Expected and required is not the same thing. And when you're in the law and you are the state and making laws for citizens to be following, you have to use very specific words. And there's a reason why you use very specific words is because they don't mean the same thing. The word expected and required isn't the same. So to make the claim that you're not a potluck because everybody's not bringing food.
That's not the claim that they're making, though.
No, that's not the claim that they're making?
No, that's not the claim that they're making. There's RCWs and there's WAC codes.
Well,
He's claiming that the WAC code, let me see here. I have it posted online. He's claiming this WAC code is, I think it's like 21. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Either way, it doesn't
over something that it doesn't have.
It doesn't make any sense. And I sent him back a thing going, we meet all the other requirements. This doesn't apply to us. But anyway, so they're going to come to the county courtyard on Saturday, and they're going to shake us down.
Come to the county courthouse